Hello everyone, welcome to another inspiring episode of Get Inspired with Charity Eswe. Again, let me start with thanking our wonderful viewers and subscribers. Your support means the world. Thank you and God bless you all. Please welcome with me and guest today in person of Mr. Kenny Ogunmiloro. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to do your show this evening. Let's do this again for today.
Thank you for coming on our show. We are happy to have you with us today.
Okay.
Let's get straight into the questions.
Okay.
Our first question says, starting off, sir, please kindly introduce yourself to our viewers around the world.
All right. My name is Kenny Ogunmiloro. I am a radio broadcaster. I am a computer scientist, and I am a businessman as well. I am the general manager of Blast FM 98.3, one of the radio stations owned by Dr. Mohen, and I have a personal radio of my own, which I'm hoping it will transition to become a full-time radio station. That's talking about Brace Radio. It is based online. What we do on it is just to talk sports 24/7. All sports radio station, the first in Ibadan and the first in your state.
On to the next question. We understand you are a sports analyst of repute. What is really being a sports analyst all about? And how important is it to the sports industry?
Okay, being a sports analyst is just like telling people what is happening in the world of sports from a different angle. The news is everywhere. Yes, you can access the news everywhere, but a sports analyst takes a look at the news from different angles, looks at the pros and the cons of every news, and make it more interesting and make it more better in terms of delivery, in terms of looking at what surrounds the news and everything that surrounds the news. So basically the major duty of a sport analyst is to analyze sports. Yes, we have sportscasters. Their duty is to present the news, while a sports analyst, just like the name implies, they analyze a sport. So basically, as a sport analyst, what I do is just to analyze sports, looking at it from different angles. And of course, being a sport analyst is very important to any nation because they make it more interesting for you. They look at issues from where you least expected that they're going to look at it from. And let me say this openly, that sport analyst, the job of a sport analyst is even more difficult than the job of a sport presenter. And it's the reason why in a better working environment, a sport analyst can earn more than a sport presenter, because it comes with a lot of work. A presenter can afford to make a mistake while presenting the news, but a sport analyst, it is a duty to correct the mistakes of the presenter and let people know more about the subject matter, what you are discussing. That news that everybody has read, it is a duty as a sport analyst to make them know better surrounding the news. So basically, it's a very interesting job that comes with a lot of effort, and I am glad I am doing it.
On to the next. Were you always interested in being a sports analyst while growing up, or did it happen by chance?
I think the interest started for me when I was in school. When I was in secondary school, to be precise, that was when the interest started. Because I remember very well that before I entered assembly ground at 8 o'clock when I was in secondary school, I must listen to a couple of radio shows that do sports on BCSFM, Radio OYO. I must ensure I listen to them before I get to the assembly ground. That was when I was still in secondary school. And when I was SS1 or SS2, I remember during the break period that students are expected to go out, eat and catch fun before returning for the remaining subjects in the particular day. Every time we have a break in my secondary school, I always sit down with a couple of my colleagues, with a couple of my schoolmates, and what we do is to discuss sports. We do quiz for ourselves. We discuss sports, everything that happened before we return to the school the next day. So basically, the interest started for me when I was in secondary school, and when I was in SS3, I started coming to the assembly ground to talk sports to my fellow schoolmates when I was in secondary school. So everything started when I was in secondary school, and when I ended my university education, I had to pursue sports, and that is where and how we are here today.
The next question says, on a personal level, and by virtue of being a sports analyst, in what way have you influenced the sports industry in your state or in your country?
Very interesting question. Number one is that I started when I became a full-time sportscaster. I started a platform to celebrate sportscasters in Oyo State. I called it the Oyo State Sports Media Award. Yes, I started it. I used the occasion, I used the platform to reward sport presenters, sport administrators, sport analysts, and of course, radio stations that have given support to different sports content. So that's one of the things I did when I started as a full-time sportscaster. And aside that, I mentioned this earlier, I have started an online radio. What we do there is sports. I have people that works with me. I have an online blog, braceradio.com.ng. They publish sport news content every time. I have writers all over Nigeria. I have reporters all over Nigeria. I employ them, pay them salary at the end of the month just to make sure we get them occupied. And aside that, I wrote a book for up and coming sport presenters. I call it the tips of becoming a sportscaster, tips to becoming a celebrated sportscaster. That's the title of the book. I wrote it 2 years ago. I did a presentation 2 years ago, and till today, people are still asking for the book because one of our junior colleagues was still in my office this morning to ask for a copy of the book. So I think in my whole little capacity, I've been able to do I've been able to expand the sportscasting business and of course make it more interesting. And to make it more interesting, I can tell you authoritatively that if you go to major radio stations in the Oyo State today, you see people that have gone through Kenny's classes and running their sports shows. I run a sports academy within myself, and people enroll for it. I teach them the basics of sportscasting, and some of them are doing their with some different radio stations today. I'm very proud of them every time I listen to them on radio.
Okay. So the next question: What's been the most significant challenge you've encountered in your line of work, and how did you overcome it?
What I've encountered till today was when I started. Yes, when I started this job, I started as a freelance sport analyst. That was when I worked for about 3 years without being paid. It was very difficult for me at that moment. I mean, you have to work every day of the week, 7 days in the week, and at the end of the month, when others are getting salary, you don't get a shishi, you don't get a cover. It was really challenging for me at that time, really challenging, especially when I left my ICT job. When I quit being the IT manager of one of the best hotels in Ibadan, and I decided to pursue sportscasting on a full time. I had challenges when I started. That was when I worked for about 3 years without being paid. That moment for me was really challenging. And how did I overcome it? I overcame it because I was so sure of what I was doing that time. I knew, Kenny, you have a lot of future ahead of you. You have to stay consistent and of course make sure you do what is right. So how I overcame it was that I was pushing hard. I was becoming better every show. And the breakthrough finally came when I had the opportunity to join Dr. Inkaifele. That was the beginning of the greatness of the journey where we are here today.
Before we go ahead, I want to chip in a question. There is this question that I've been lingering in my head to ask you. Growing up and you being a sports analyst, did your parents really, as in your parents or family, were they in support of your career, or you had to struggle your way out to make them understand what you want?
Okay, so my late mom and my late dad. I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up to know my dad, so I may not really say much if he was interested in what I was doing. But my mom gave every support to me when I started, especially when I told her I wanted to be a broadcaster on radio. It made me understand that when I was a very small boy, when I was a kid, that I used to go around the house with radio. So she was not really surprised that I suddenly developed a career, developed an interest in becoming a broadcaster on radio. So my late mom, God rest her soul, gave every support to me when I started. Till the last day she spent on earth, my mom still never missed any of my radio show. Yes, I know that wherever, I mean, when she was still alive, every she knows time was on radio. Even when I was on TV, my mom was one of my biggest fans, if not the biggest fan when she was alive. So I had no problem. I mean, having the approval of my mom to do this. She was in full support of the career path I chose, and she gave me every support a mother would give her son to become successful in any field. So I'm very proud of that. And of course, I always look back and say thank you, Mama. May God rest your soul.
Have you ever had any regrets being in this line of profession, or it's been bliss this whole time?
Well, to the glory of God, I don't have any regret. Oh. I don't have any regret at all. When I was supposed to have a regret was when I started, but I knew that it was a challenge that I needed to overcome, and I would overcome, and I eventually overcame it. So, to the glory of God, I don't have any regrets, and I will never have any regrets in the name of Jesus.
The next question says, how would you advise youth out there who do not know what career choice to make?
The first thing is for them to discover their purpose. The first thing is they need to know what they can do. Yes, I studied computer science, but right now I don't use my certificate to work. I don't use my computer science IT skill to work. I now talk on radio and I get paid for talking on radio. That's a gift I discovered, and of course, it's living my life for me right now. So, my advice to the young ones out there is number one, find out their purpose. Yes, we've seen many people went to school, study a particular course, finished from school, started doing something different. So I think it's better for us to, the earlier the better for us to understand our assignment on that. Look at yourself. What talent do I have? What can I do? Can I talk? Can I draw? Can I speak? Can I model? Can I sing? Can I act? So everyone in this world has got something deposited into him or her by God to make the person stand out in this world. So I think for everybody watching, everybody listening, every young person watching me right now, the first thing you need to do is discover your purpose on that and know why you are here. Once you discover why you are here, once you know your purpose, it will be easy for you to find your way around it and become a better person in it. What is more important is the moment you discover your purpose on that, you have to find a way to achieve it. And one of the ways is to find a mentor in that area to mentor you and lead you because you cannot do it alone. Some people have been there before you. They need to teach you how to get to the top. So it's very important. So finally, once again, I have to say this, discover your purpose. Once you do that, find a mentor. And above all, pray to God Almighty because it is the only person that can show you the way. God is the way, the truth, and the life. So God is very important. Prayer is very important. Always talk to God. No matter what you want to do, always seek the face of God first. He will lead you.
Last but not the least, finally, sir, do you have a final word or closing remark for our listeners out there?
Okay, the final remark is that anywhere you see a sportscaster in any radio station, please respect them. Yes, Nigerian Tribune gave me an interview. I granted an interview with them 2 years ago, and the headline they used was that radio stations are yet to give they are yet to give deserving respect to sport replays. But I think things are changing right now. The job of being a sport analyst or sport presenter is very difficult. So if you work in a radio station or you have a radio station or you intend to have a radio station, if you have a sport presenter working for you, don't assume that they are not doing anything. Yes, it's not easy to talk sports and analyze it, and people will accept it. It's not easy because I do a job that everybody knows something about it. Yes, if you want to tell me about, if I want to talk about Chelsea, there are many people out there that knows about Chelsea. So it takes a lot of effort for me to talk about Chelsea and make people accept the way I will talk about Chelsea. It's a lot of work. That's why sport analysts deserve some respect, especially from radio stations. And I thank God things are changing. Sport presenters are now taking on managerial roles. I know about 3 or 4 radio stations here in the Lagos State that have sport presenters as their general managers of the different radio stations. So I think it is very important. We should respect sport presenters, and this is a message for all radio owners all over the world. We are doing a great job, and please appreciate us more. That's my final remark on the show this evening.
Dear viewers, I hope you found this episode insightful to say the least, and I've learned 1 or 2 things to take home with you. We all should aim at making an impact no matter where we find ourselves in life, and by so doing, you never know the path you will be lighting up. Wow, we've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you for all our viewers. Thank you for sharing, liking, and commenting. Please, if you are new, subscribe to this channel and click the bell button for notification. Feel free to leave your comments, questions for our guests. Until we meet next time with the next guest, stay inspired.